One book can change everything. Discover revelations that spark courage, ignite dreams, and remind you who you truly are. From timeless classics to bold new voices, find your next inspiration in every page of Dr. Segun Olugbemi's books, such as Lessons from 30 Years of Marriage. Marriage is much more than a social contract. It is an institution established by God Himself. The man was never created to live in isolation, independent, alone, or all self-sufficient by himself. For two are better than one because they have a better reward for their labor. Red flags. Deception turns rulers into subjects and makes the wise foolish. It is the reason behind every failure, loss, pain, or regret. The life coach. The lessons we learn in life are: precept must be upon precept, precept upon precept, line upon line upon line, here a little, there a little. Wisdom is loaded in all of creation. Therefore, the responsibility of discovery is on you. Defeating the mother frog syndrome. Mother frog syndrome is symptomatic of a lifestyle that is comfortable with whatever life throws at it. A man with great dreams who is unwilling to do anything about it. It is a reactionary life rather than an active one. A life that responds rather than initiates. Without conquest, there can be no victory. Without reaching, there is no getting. This is an apt description of what today's church looks like. This book teaches you how to kill these lethargic and apathetic lives. Mercy Extended. The vision that has led to this timely exposition on the rising new Church of Jesus Christ is clearly detailed in this book. It distinguishes between the Solomon Church and the Davidic Church, the significance of the donkey upon which no man ever sat on the occasion of the triumphant entry, vis-a-vis the present-day reformers in the rising church who have an understanding that Jesus Christ is either Lord of all or not at all. Prophetic confrontation. Prophecies are divine and accurate foretelling of the future to an individual, group, or nation by God. However, the recipient of prophecy has a key role to play in seeing it come to pass as foretold and benefiting from it, since most prophecies are conditions. Silent years. The silent years are the years we spend without being noticed. They are years of thorough preparation of a vessel by the Master Himself for His unique use. In this jet age of fast food, fast information, online church, online Bibles, and fast Christianity, many Christians, leaders inclusive, do not see the need to truly wait on God as in the days of Elijah. Obadiah Commission. There is a reason the word independence is not used in any translation of the Bible. One of the reasons is that God never meant for us to independent of Him or one another. We are to be dependent on God and interdependent on one another. Lessons from the Patriarchs, Volume 1 and 2. Every information in the Bible has a message for us. We sure can learn from the names, places, numbers, people, principles, and instructions therein. You can order all these books and more on Amazon or call +2 34805 116 6211.
Hi there, thank you for joining us on TLC, the Life Coach. We'll be having a blast on this particular platform, just trying to bring us up to speed about things that are essential for life or for living. Now, in life, we have so much that the Creator has built into us, but part of the destiny or calling or purpose of others is to help us unveil these things. And that's the reason that someone will have an insight in an area that you may not. If you are open to such transformation, then it helps you to discover not only who you are, but what you have on the inside of you that can change your world. So today I want to add something to it, a little value to your life on the law of creativity. Creativity is something that we all talk about very often. But I want you to take a look around you right now as we speak. What are the things you see? The furniture, maybe a television, your telephones, your computer, the clothes you wear and everything. I want you to cast your mind back to the time you were a little child. Were they exactly like that? Were they exactly the same thing? Chances are that there had been improvements. Chances are that things have changed You know, not just that you are older, not just that your views have been expanded, not that your eyes are now more mature to weigh things, but that the quality of things may have changed, the design of everything may have changed. And so when we were little children, you remember what we did. I knew when we were in secondary school, I used 4-figure table. You had to, memorize your timetable from 2 times 1 to 12. And we had to do all that stuff. In your examinations, you are not allowed to go in with, of course, nobody talks about calculator. It was not a thing, over 40-something years ago. So just see where we are today. People they go to exam with calculators and scientific calculators, all kinds of calculators. So things are changing. Things are changing. They are all results of creativity. 20 years ago, we were not here, we are not where we are today with regards to social media. But look at how many years ago Facebook came in and revolutionized the way we see things. Then we went on to WhatsApp. Then we went on to Instagram, where people share photos and clips of videos and all that. Then we have Thread, then we have almighty YouTube. We have all that stuff. Because somebody thought that it was essential to add value in particular areas. And that is what we call creativity. The law of creativity simply says every man is creative by default. Since when we were made in the image of the Creator, God Himself, we can expect no less from Him. In fact, all of humanity has creativity quotient deposited in them that must be cultivated before they can benefit the society that they live in. If you understand that for Bible believers, Genesis 1:1 says, in the beginning God created. That tells you that God has in Him, one of His attributes is creativity. And if creativity is of God, then naturally, if you are of God, if God has made you to this world, there is a reason He deposited a portion of Himself in you. I can tell you this, like the English people will say, variety is the spice of life. There's nothing as boring as doing the same old routine day in, day out. You get tired, don't you? We have to look for new ways of doing it. And if you continue to do it that way, even if you are the children of Israel, if you have to feed on manners for so many years, you're going to complain. That's why we find different ways of, doing what we do. Someone told me, I am on a diet, I have to take this, I have to eat that, and it's so tiring. I said, have you thought of many ways of doing it? I said, I never thought about that. I said, okay, look at our beans, for instance. You can eat beans white, cook it with spices, with other things, and then add some seasoning to it, and then you eat it with stew. You can eat beans with some yams or potatoes in it. You can eat beans with, maybe with plantain or ripe plantain in it. You can eat beans as, akara or as mamai. You can eat beans as rice and beans. You can eat beans as so many other ways that we can eat the same beans. What we're talking about is this. You're eating the same thing, but in different creative ways that it shouldn't stress you. It shouldn't give you challenges when you want to eat. You don't have to feel bored. Life itself without creativity is boring. In other words, if you wake up in the morning and you follow the same routine and there's nothing new, you don't find a way of spicing up your life, you'll be bored. You will burn out. All right? You have to find creative ways of doing that. If you're married to the same woman for 30 years, for 35 years, 40 years, it's boring. Staying with the same old person. Living in the same old house, doing all that, it could be boring. Doing the same job for 25 years, boring. But when you find creative ways of spicing that thing up, then it's no longer an issue to you. All right? So creativity is essential, and God has put that on the inside of us to be creative. My grandmother taught me something that became a corner piece of my life and philosophy. And he says, son, anything that cannot talk cannot be wiser than you. No matter how powerful they are, lions, snakes, and if they can't talk, they can't overpower you. They cannot be more intelligent than you. You have creativity in you to solve it. That was how I developed a 3-to-1 solution ratio to solving every problem. That if you work with me, I don't want you to come back on the first attempt and say, I tried this, it didn't work. I don't want it. I want you to think of 3 different ways of resolving the same problem before you come to me for the 4th one, which is why, like I jokingly say often, it is the 4 arithmetic signs. You know, the 4 arithmetic method of solving equations. You know, quadratic equation, you got the quad 4, and then you find out that the quad, it's square root, and the other one, then you talk about the almighty formula. The almighty formula becomes the last that you appeal to. So creativity is essential. You have to think about it. Look at creative ways of raising your children, of correcting your children. See creative ways of relating with your friends. Look at creative ways of, living with your husband. Look at creative ways of, your friends, your neighbors, your colleagues at work, your members of a church or club members. What are the creative ways to walk into their relationship, to do things that are different? What are those creative ways? Very, very essential. Because if you don't find creative ways of it, then everybody gets tired of you. We get tired of each other. So take the note of the following. Number 1, creativity is defined as a tendency to generate or recognize ideas, alternatives, possibilities, and that may be useful in solving problems, communicating with others, and entertaining ourselves and others. That is called creativity. The tendency to generate and recognize ideas, recognizing new ideas, alternatives, possibilities that might be useful to solving problems or communicating with others or entertaining ourselves and others. Someone came to me yesterday and said, I want to start this business and all this and all that. I said, why? Oh, because this happened. Oh, because I said, you don't go into business because everyone is doing the same thing. Look at creative ways of handling that situation. Look at creative ways of, I said, do you know what I advise you to do? First, go study your area. Look at what is missing. If potable water, drinking water is a problem there, then it is wiser to go into water than go into poultry product. If 3, 4, 5 people are going to poultry product, then it's not smart for you because they have their supply from somewhere, or they have people they supply. Why not go into what is missing? If potable water is the problem. If, on the other hand, people don't have eggs here, they don't have this, they don't have groceries, and you need to set up that, then why don't you focus on what is lacking? That's a creative way of generating income. Creative ways of entertaining each other. Look at the kind of music we have. See the kind of playlists and drama and cinemas we have, movies that we have. There are creative ways. How about this cartoon that we now have today? There are creative ways by which people, are able to solve problems, communicate with each other, and entertain ourselves and others. Number 2, creativity is the act of turning new and imaginative ideas into reality. It's the use of imagination or original ideas to invent something new. In other words, when we talk about creativity, it's the act of turning new and creative, imaginative, ideas into reality. What do I mean to say? Somebody thought that we could communicate. When we were children, we had a way we communicated. We tried to invent, telephone. We didn't even know that something, because we're in the village, we were not exposed to those things. But then we will get a bunch of marks and we take the local thread and then we, tie it to the bulk marks here and tie it to the other one. And you whisper and it passes through that thread and we're able to get a whisper on the other end. But we began to feel that we could generate communication without having seen a telephone, in our lives. Funny, right? But that's it. It's just like you take GSM for granted, but some of us knew that when we had to put up the rotary dial in our homes and offices, and that's what we used, and everything had to be cable, not cellular as it is now. All right, so it's a creative way of solving problems. Is that turning that imaginative ideas into something. We developed ways of calling each other when we were in the farm. Then we had to call someone at a distance, so we make sounds. There are things but then somebody took all these things and transformed them into what we have today. So from the regular landline, then we have CDMA that works by radio system, and now we have cellular that works with the satellite. Do you see how progressive things have been? In other words, whenever you look at around you, look at the people around you, look at creative ways of making them smile. Look at creative ways of making them laugh. Look at creative ways of turning the food you eat into something better than what it is right now. Change the way you do things. Just look at it. Life itself can be very boring if it is repetitive. But when you learn to solve the problems and keep pushing it all around and all that, then you do not have issues. You do not have issues with trying new things out. If you travel by the roads every day, the same road and all that, it could be boring. But if you have to go in a different direction, you see different things. So that's the benefit of travel. That's the benefit of sharing ideas. That's the benefit of imaginative ideas and turning them into realities and seeing that this thing works. Let's try this. I remember as I was setting up our studio and doing some things, and I was sharing with my pastor, and who is, over all this media work we're doing. And I was sharing with him, it's possible to do A, it's possible to do. He said, yeah. And then those who were training him were saying, no, it's this one, we don't know about it. I told him I've seen it before. I saw this thing with a pastor friend of mine in Norway, and he used it and it worked. Get on the internet, study how it works, go on YouTube. And he went in and started creating things, started making things happen. And then in a short while, he was surprising himself. He designed our logo, he designed something. I said there's something called 3D. There's a way you can do this and this logo will rotate. You could do this, you could do. And then he said, well, I don't know, let me try. He tried before he sent me a clip. It was already done. So every time we're thinking, I said, there is a way you can do this. So we just have imaginative ideas that somebody had done and we turn them into reality. That is what we call creativity. Not sitting down and just saying as it was before, as it has been, so it is now, and so shall, and ever shall be, world without end. Amen. Come on now. It's not going to continue like that. As it was, so it is, so shall it ever be, world without end. We need to just move on and let something new happen. There are new ways of worshiping. There are new ways of singing. There are new ways of dancing. There are new ways of dressing. There are new ways of everything. I was talking to somebody and they say, oh, look at this one. It appears as I said, who told you that's not a star? That's not a creative way of doing that. Come on now. Number 3, creativity is the act of turning new and imaginative ideas. Okay, I said that into reality. And creativity is characterized by the ability to perceive. So number 3, I said, creativity is the ability to perceive, is characterized by the ability to perceive the world in new ways, to find hidden patterns, to make connections between seemingly unrelated phenomena, and to generate solutions. Creativity involves 2 processes, thinking and then producing. So, number 3 here it says to us that is characterized by the ability to perceive the world in new ways. Look at things in new ways. Don't always think your worldview is all that there is. There are other worldviews that might be worth considering in line with your absolute and in line with God's word. Creativity is finding patterns to make connections between seemingly unrelated phenomena and to generate solutions. Sometimes things don't appear related, but when we begin to think, look at it this way. In the early days, Facebook, we don't find the relationship between Facebook and WhatsApp. They're completely different. Then WhatsApp, Facebook went ahead and acquired a metaverse now. Meta acquired, Facebook and Instagram, and all of them linked to Facebook. So much so that on your Facebook, it can ask you, do you want me to post this on your thread? And then now they created thread. So do you want it on the thread and Instagram at the same time? Once you then click, if you say yes, as soon as you post a photograph or video or whatever it is, you click or you post it on Facebook, it shows on your thread as if you've made a post there. It shows on your Instagram as if you posted it just on one platform, and all of them are connected. But you know what? After they acquired WhatsApp, then they began to do some things on it. Guess one of the things that is done on WhatsApp? Your WhatsApp is now connected to your Instagram. It's connected to your Facebook, so that you can easily go there and then someone can click on it on your any advert or anything you place there. I said, do you want to reach us? Reach us on WhatsApp. Once you click on WhatsApp, it goes to the individual's WhatsApp and then the telephone number and then sends a message by default. You see how these phenomena are all connected together by similar unrelated phenomena connected together by creativity. Generating solution for us, making it easier for a person to buy your product or reach out to your business line by simply sending a message, and it goes to WhatsApp. And then the next person calls you, how do you know my number? Well, you sent me a WhatsApp message through your Facebook. Do you see how these things work? Find out the patterns. And these guys who did the Facebook and then Instagram and bought over WhatsApp and then created thread have found a thread between them. Have found a connection between them that is similar. They were they were never identical. They were individually serving different purposes. But guess what? They found a way of connecting them together, though unrelated. Creativity brought about that, and that has generated a solution. In other words, you don't have to now send a messenger, Facebook messenger to a person before they reply. Also, you can go straight to their business line by sending a WhatsApp message through your Facebook. And creativity involves two processes: one, thinking, and two, producing. If you are always thinking, somebody says a thinker. Thinkers are not necessarily producers. There are people who are just thinkers. It's okay, but you think first. That's the first thing. But ability to produce with it is what we call creativity. So it's not creativity when you only think it out. It becomes creativity when you're able to produce. All right? Number 4, creativity is the process of bringing something new into being. Something new into being. Bringing it out of where the remedy used to be and bringing something new out of it. Look at the bees. How the bees family, they go in everywhere. They tap from all the flowers, every tree. They pick up something. They pick up something from all the flowers, all the trees. But their creativity is in bringing these together. They go in, deposit those things, producing something called honey. And that's what life is all about. Like I do acknowledge in my books, we're all products of all the authors who have read. We're products of all the preachers who have listened to, or teachers who have listened to. So there's nothing that is original. Some thoughts are original with you, but somebody also has said something that triggered something. So we're all products of everyone contributing something to it. Creativity requires passion and commitment. It brings to our awareness what was previously hidden and points to new life. The experience of one heightened consciousness, which some people call ecstasy, that might bring you to a very high rolling point. You have to understand that when we talk about, creativity, it's an experience that heightens your consciousness. Okay? It brings you to the awareness of previously hidden and points to something new that can come out of it. You know, if you have ideas, but you don't act on them, you are imaginative, but you are not creative. There's a difference between being imaginative and being creative. If your idea does not produce, you are just being imaginative. You are not creative. Creativity is a combination of force. It is our ability to tap into our inner pool of resources, knowledge and insight, information, inspiration, and all the fragments, populating our minds that we've accumulated over the years just by being present and alive and awake to the world, and to combine them together in extraordinary new ways. Combining this thing in extraordinary new ways. His work, Art of Thought, Graham Willis presented one of the first models of the creative process. In it, he opined that creativity and insights and illuminations may be explained by a process consisting of 5 stages. Number 1, preparation. It talks about, number 1, preparation. Preparatory work on a problem that focuses on individual's mind on the problem, and then explore the problem's dimension. They said, somebody told me the other day, I want to do this and do that, and I asked him, I said, go and find out how that is done. Someone suggested a business idea to me, and I said, great. How does this run? How do I have access to this? How do I have this? And when do you do this? When do you do that? And I asked about 6, 7 questions. And the person couldn't answer me. I said, you have not learned enough. Get out. Don't say that to me. Because if I have any question, you should be able to answer it like that. Your mind is focused enough on the problem, so much so that you see all the dimensions of the problem. And then you are ready to, now, which is the preparatory stage, you are ready to confront it. The next thing is incubation. That is where the problem is internalized into the consciousness and mind, and nothing appears externally to have happened at that time. It is like the Bible says, write the vision, make it plain, so whoever it is may run. And he said, though it tarries, it will come to pass, for at the end it shall speak. In other words, every time you step up, you want to do something, vision will only speak at the end. True vision doesn't manifest. In other words, a person goes into school and say, I want to be an architect. I want to be a doctor. That, every time he's in school, they say, hi, about your son who says he wants to be an architect. He's in school. It's now 7 years after. It's now 6 years after he graduates, and then he comes up, he's now an architect. At the end of that vision, at the end of the training, then we come to where it will speak. So that is incubation process now. We're going through it, internalizing, or before we externalize what is happening. Nothing happens externally, but we have to internalize it first. And number 3 is immutation. The creative person gets a feeling that a solution is on its way. That's the way we do it. When we see that, we begin to, intimation is the creative person having the feeling that, solution is on its way. In other words, you are thinking about this. Well, I've been thinking about it. We could do it like this. And then you say, the more I think about it, the more it's becoming real to me that I can actually solve this. This thing can be done. Let's try it and see. It was a wise man who once said, and I heard this guy long walk to this, what do you call him? Nelson Mandela also said similar thing. And somebody else also has said it. He said, everything is impossible until someone does it. Intimation is the next line of process. After, don't forget that we have now talked about, we've looked at the first problem, we've prepared our mind towards it, then we incubate it, internalizing it. Now we see intimation. The creative person now gets the feeling that solution is on its way. Then you move on to the next one, which is illumination or insight, where the creative idea bursts forth, from its pre-conscious processing into the conscious awareness. So this thing I'm saying, I'm thinking about it so much. I think I can make it happen. It's now coming, it's becoming real to me. Say, let's try it and see. Let's try it and see. There's some equipment we're having right here that we haven't used before. We just had them and then we kept them. And when we began this process, it doesn't look like anything. And we told some of the people who were training to help us with it, and they said, we didn't know what to do. And I told my pastor, I said, do you know what? These things can be done. This thing can be done. I want you to put it together, get into this, look into it. And he pulled it off. He pulled it off, and then we started to use it. And we're using this equipment seamlessly today, not because we have always known that, but because we were thinking of what to do, and we're looking at this within our scope of assignment. We went, we researched, we envisioned it, and I said we could do this, and things that weren't there just started coming, bits and pieces. Don't be in a rush to produce result. Take it slowly. Follow it, incubate it. Do the bit you can do now. Put them together and they will form and crystallize. Number 5, verification. Where the idea is consciously verified, elaborated, then applied. And that's why Wallace opined that midway through the creative process, one may have made associations between the current task and previous experiences, but not yet disambiguated. Which aspect of those previous experiences are relevant to the current task? Thus, the creative idea may feel half-baked. It's normally so. Everyone say, well, I don't know, I don't think I get this. When I do some work and I do some write-up, I have some creative ideas, and I do what I call weekly musings, random musings. And when I get these things, midnight, I'm writing them out, I'm putting them together, and I will throw them at some of my friends, I'll throw them at my editor. I say, go through, do you think this is worth sharing? Do you think this is okay? Do you learn anything? Say, what? You're touching lives, you're touching these, and then I get encouraged with that, okay? So the creative idea may look like half-baked, but when it gets in and as it is at that time, it is at that point that it can be said to be in a potential state or potentiality state, because how it will actually actualize eventually depends on the different internally and externally generated contexts it interacts with. The bottom line is this: we can all be creative. We have all been gifted with this capability. At the beginning of our lives, we're all responsible for bringing it into being, to bear. You're responsible to bring this thing to bear. You are responsible to make sure you order your life better and to to benefit the society at large. There will be challenges on the way to exercising this, but they are not insurmountable. So be determined to unveil the creativity in you today. Everyone has a river of God planted in him, and that is capable of multiplying into rivers. The only time a river parts into two is when it meets with obstruction. Therefore, the challenges we face on our way to creativity or creative thinking or imaginative thinking that will lead to creativity are not meant to deter us from accomplishment. They are meant to unravel our creativity. Everyone, when God created the Garden of Eden, there was this river there. He planted the river. But the Bible tells us that as the river flows, it parted into 4 heads. One river, 4 heads. And then as it parted into 4 heads, the first one went and opened a particular spot, opened this land, and they found gold in it. That's why the first mineral to be discovered by man is gold, and that is what we call gold standard. It determines the price of every other minerals on the face of the earth. Everyone has a gold on the inside of it, but the river may need to part before you come into it. And the only time a river parts into 2 is when it meets with an obstacle. Then it will find its course. Once you plant an obstacle on the way of the river, it passes into 2 and start flowing 2 sides. So one river can become 2. One river can become 4. If they get down the road and they meet with another obstacle, they will part again. And then one river becomes 4. If it meets with 2 obstacles, it will part into 4. If it's going at the same time, means with two obstacles differently positioned, the river parts into four at the same time. And that is what creativity is all about. In other words, the river is creative enough not to stay at a single point. When you succeed in putting a river at a single point, it means you created a dam. You dam it. But when you dam it, it rises high. You see? Because water must find its course. That is how God has created you. That on the inside of you is something special, is something good, is something glorious. You can part into many heads and you will get result. Thank you so much for joining us. Please be sure you share this with your friends and family, and please subscribe to our channels, our YouTube channel, and then share with somebody. And this has been your life coach, Segun Olugbemi.